My name is Rafael, you watch Rock and Roll Garage, and today I'm going to show you 4 singers that Jimmy Page, the Led Zeppelin guitarist, is a big fan of, and Robert Plant is not on the list, okay? But first, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment. Well, it's obvious that he is a fan of Robert Plant, so he's not featured in this list that Rock and Roll Garage selected of singers he praised over the years. And let's start. The first one is Paul Rodgers. His bandmate in the supergroup The Firm, who is also known for his incredible work with Free and Bad Company. He had the chance to work with him in the 80s, as I said, in The Firm, and he always been a fan of his singing and even said that never saw Rodgers sing a wrong note. He said in an interview with Guitar World, well, of course it is different working with Paul after you've been with someone, Zeppelin and Robert, for that amount of years. I don't know how many years it was now. You get to know each other in a band very, very well. It can almost be an SCP type of thing. With Paul, his phrasing is totally different from Robert. I would think that Robert was like a vocal gymnast, and Paul, I never heard him sing a wrong note. He's such a technical singer, he really is. And yet, he has a quality within his voice that on the ballads he does is really caressing. And yet, it's really vibrant in a way. And Bad Company, curiously, was also managed by Peter Grant and signed, who was Led Zeppelin's manager, and signed with the Swan Song, which was Led Zeppelin's label. And Peter Grant, Jimmy Page recalled this in an interview with Uncut magazine. And he said about Peter Grant and Bad Company. Bad Company was more Peter Grant's thing. Peter had the Bad Company thing and put that together. That was really a great band to have on there because of Paul Rodgers. He's phenomenal. He was then and still is. Rodgers is 5 years younger than Jimmy and was born in Middlesbrough, England in 1949. He started his musical career in 1968, which was the year Led Zeppelin was formed. Besides being part of Free, Bad Company, and The Firm, Rodgers also recorded an album with Queen's Brian May and Roger Taylor. Still a good friend of Simon Kirke and Paul Rodgers, Jimmy Page had the chance to see their reunion show at the Wembley Stadium in 2010. At the time, he said they haven't lost their magic, saying the performance was high class. He hasn't lost his magic. The next one, Jeff Buckley, the late Jeff Buckley, who passed away too soon at the age of 30 in Memphis, where he decided to go swimming in the Wolf River Harbor, fully dressed, reportedly singing the chorus of Whole Lotta Love. It was the wake of a tugboat that swept him away and underwater. His body was found only a week later. Jimmy had the chance to see Jeff playing live, and they were good friends, he said in an interview with R2L2 station in 2014. I was really affected by Jeff Buckley when I heard him perform. I heard one of his last concerts in Australia, penultimate concert. It was just absolutely staggering. He was absolutely, he just touched every emotion in you. He was really superb and a total class of his own, as you know, because you've heard so many singers and you know that they got that from Jeff Buckley. He's iconic and really just in a total class of his own, as I say. So I was really deeply affected by his music and I thought he was a master. It was tragic to hear that he died, but there was a weird irony when someone said, I've heard that he was singing Whole Lotta Love. He had sort of said that was in Australia, that I would be really good if we'd done something together. Can you imagine how I would have loved to have done that with him? But he started doing a second album and then stopped and started up again. It's a tragic loss. My God, he was good. And Buckley, Page also said that Buckley was a wizard. He said this in an interview for the documentary Jeff Buckley, Everybody Here Wants You. And he said that he recalled that Jimmy Page and Robert Plant were mesmerized with Buckley's talent when they saw a show together. And He said he was the best singer that had appeared probably. I've not been too liberal about this if I say the past 2 decades. I started to play Grace constantly. The more I listened to that album, the more I heard, the more I appreciated Jeff. Jeff's talents and Jeff's technical ability, to which he was just a wizard. It was close to being my favorite album of the decades. Me and Plant, actually made a point of going to hear him play and sing. It was absolutely scary. One of the things that was a little frightening was that I was convinced that he probably did things in tuning, and he didn't. He was doing things in standard tunings, and I thought, oh dear, he's really clever, isn't he? He quite clearly had his feet on the ground and his head and his imagination was flying way, way, way out there beyond. Jeff was a huge fan of Led Zeppelin, and one of his closest friends said that the musician cried when he had the chance to meet Page. Jeff was the son of Tim Buckley, the influential musician who was active from 1966 until 1975, when he sadly passed away at the age of 28. And now we move to Chris Cornell, the Soundgarden and Audioslave late singer. And he was only 52 when he decided to take his own life in 2017, and Page lamented Chris' death at the time, saying, "Rest in peace, Chris Cornell, incredibly talented, incredibly young, incredibly missed." They had the chance and the time to spend some time together a few years before Cornell died, when Page was interviewed by Chris for Rock and Roll magazine. In 2019, when Soundgarden arranged a tribute show for Cornell, Jimmy was not able to be there but sent a message that was played. He said, "Hello, I'm Jimmy Page, and I'm actually over here in London sending this video link to Matt, Kim, Dan. I'm sorry I can't be with you there this evening, but believe me, I'm there in spirit. I want to congratulate you for having got this event together to celebrate Chris's music. I also want to say that the input that you put into Soundgarden from the records, because I got hooked on your music from the first album, but I also came to hear you play, you guys. I was always astonished at the way you all glued together. I mean, it was just really what, for me, bands are all about. Yeah, have a great evening, have a wonderful evening, this celebration of Chris' music." The Soundgarden and Audioslave frontman covered Led Zeppelin songs multiple times during his career, and fans were always impressed by his versions. He even said that once that if Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones had asked him to tour performing Led Zeppelin songs, he would totally accept the invitation. And now we reach the final one, who is the late Yardbirds vocalist Keith Relf, with who Jimmy Page has the chance to work with since he was a member of the Yardbirds from 1966 to 1968 until the band came to an end. When asked by Uncut magazine in 2017 if he would like to play with the Yardbirds again, he said, "But who would sing? Keith Relf died all those many years ago. He'd done a couple of other things, Renaissance and Medicine Head. Keith Relf was really damn good." At the time, the band's only original member was the drummer Jim McCarty. Relf died in 1976 at the age of 33, and the story goes that he passed away in his basement from electrocution while playing an electric guitar. But he also had a lot of health problems like emphysema and asthma, so those conditions might have contributed to his inability to survive the shock. When the Yardbirds was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1992, during his speech, Page mentioned Relf's relatives who were there that night. He said, "Before I came here, I thought, well, I'll keep it short, so I'm going to keep it short. But before we go any further, there's one person who can't be with us tonight, and that's Keith Relf. So I'd like to introduce you to his wife, April, and his son, Jason." And that's it. These are some of Jimmy Page's favorite singers of all time. I'm sure there's a lot more, but these are the 4 singers that we Rock and Roll Garage selected, and I hope you like the video. If you want to read more, listen to all the music from these incredible artists, go to the description and visit the article I wrote about it at rockandrollgarage.com. Like the video, leave a comment, tell me if you like any of these. Let's talk about it, okay? Subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.